Setting up a home studio, you're going to need to dedicate a computer to do that job. Welcome to SoundBetter Slider. You're going to need to make some computer your central hub of recording. So let's dive in to 10 things about computers to run a home studio. Thing 1 is the processing power, sometimes referred to as the CPU. It's basically the computer chip that does all the math that you need the computer to do things for you. It's just lots of math power. Find the most powerful chip that you can for the least amount of money. Thing 2. Memory. This is going to be referred to as RAM. That stands for Random Access Memory. This is a short-term, temporary style memory that your computer can use to store things that it's going to need to access quickly. This is very applicable to us doing music studios because things like virtual instruments that we run require some RAM. You can consider RAM the amount of multitasking that your computer can do. And in our case, running multiple plugins and virtual instruments inside of our DAW. Thing 3. Long-term storage. This is the internal storage capacity of your computer. You can also expand by hooking your computer up to external drives. In music production, some people like to stay organized by what drive does what for them. So, for example, the internal drive that your computer is running on will run your operating system and your DAW and have your plugins. All of the samples might be on one drive, and then there might be a separate drive for recording. So when you're actually recording, where is that data going to? The main principle that guides this is trying to have a drive that is not reading and writing at the same time. If you're recording to a drive and you're also playing back samples from that drive, it's just more stuff for the drive to do and more chances for it to mess up. Thing 4. The operating system. This is the main piece of software that runs on your computer that allows you to do all other things. Apple makes the Mac OS, and Microsoft makes Windows. Then you make a choice. You're either going to try and be in the Windows world or you're in the Mac OS world. The general recommendation is to go ahead and get a Mac because music production will become a bit easier. There's upsides and downsides to Apple. Upside, it generally works better with more music production software. Downside, they update their operating system very often, and that causes a lot of updating chaos. If you're already so into Windows that you can't fathom working on a Mac, then go ahead and stay on Windows and see how far you can get. If you're already pretty good at computers, you'll have a better time. Make your choice and go forth. Thing 5. Check on the specific operating system number, this number dot whatever, that you're running, because that matters. When you buy a Mac, it's going to come with a certain operating system and it will only be able to run that operating system or newer ones. It won't be able to run older ones. You don't want to buy a Mac when it first comes out or when an operating system first comes out and they're shipping with the new OS if you haven't checked to make sure that the type of DAW software that you're using is going to be compatible with that Mac OS. Sometimes it will take months, and so you can have a brand new computer and no ability to use it if you're relying on the compatibility and you don't check on it. You're also going to want to check on the compatibility of any third-party plugins that you're going to want to run. That includes virtual instruments, also audio plugins. Compatibility checking almost never ends. Thing 6. So connectivity and expansion. So that means how much stuff can you connect to this computer right away? Is it enough for you when you think about all the things that you want to connect to the computer to run your studio? External hard drives, audio interfaces, external display ports if you want those. Is there enough for you to do it with just what comes with the computer? Is it possible to add on a hub or in some cases a dock? Are you going to need to hook up one of these extensions in order to expand your connectivity? Thing 7. You want to think about whether or not you are running a laptop or running a desktop-based studio. So, for example, laptops, you're going to be able to hook up less stuff. Think of mobile studios as a bit more minimalistic, and Desktop Studios has a bit more of a maximalist endeavor.
Thing 8.
Check and make sure that that computer has adequate cooling. Most of the time that comes in the form of a fan that will start blowing air across the hot parts of your computer, namely the CPU, and it starts to do all that math. It's using electricity and it's putting off heat as a byproduct. So the best computers also have the ability to cool themselves. When we use fans make noise, and we don't like noise. The noise that your computer makes is going to be a factor in the room that you're in. Is your microphone in that same room where your computer is, or is it somewhere separate? If you can separate your computer from your microphones, then the fan noise is not as much of a concern.
Thing 9.
If you assemble a computer yourself from scratch, you have to worry about the individual parts and their warranties. But if you purchase your computer from a company that built it and tested it before they sold it to you, then you're going to want that company to have good customer support. Because if something breaks and you're not a computer technician, you're going to need help, or you're going to need a new computer.
Thing 10.
GPU, right? Graphics processing unit. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm not doing video. Why do I care how good the graphics card is? Well, you might want more than one display. One display for editing and one for mixing, one for you're writing music for some sort of visual thing, looking at the visual thing and having a separate screen to run all your actual recording software. Plus, you never know, you might want to make a video.
Please subscribe, it keeps the channel alive.